Well, hello and welcome to At Home Today. We're so glad you dropped by. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope the week has been good for you. And I hope that you have allowed Jesus to be a part of your week. Today we're going to talk about breading. Breading different kinds of foods, like some fish, some chicken, and pork chops. Have you often wondered how to keep that breading on your pork chops? Well, today I'm going to show you how. You know, I got thinking about breading. And why is it called breading or coating or whatever? And for some reason, the way my brain works, it led me to thinking about Jesus being the bread of life. And I was, you know, like I said, the way my mind works, I was thinking about he kind of coats us with his love. It's kind of a wraparound that he does with his love on us when we come to him and give him our lives and say, here I am, Lord. You know, take me and do with me what you want to make this world a better world and to live for you and to serve you. And then he wraps his arms of love around us, kind of like a breading or a coating. And you know what? That's a real comfortable position, knowing that the love of God is enveloped you. He said he would never leave you. He will never forsake you. Lo, I am with you always, he said. What comforting words they are. If you don't know that kind of a relationship or have that kind of a relationship or know Jesus in that intimate, personal way, and you would like to, we have our prayer partners. And the phone number at the bottom of the screen is the number that is your lifeline with someone who will pray with you and lead you into that life connected with the Lord Jesus Christ. You'll never regret the day you've done that. It's a wonderful life and one that I'd like you and invite you to try. He loves you, he cares for you, he's concerned about you, but he wants to be with you up close, not at a distance, all right? Well, we're getting ready now for the breading show, now that we've introduced you to the bread of life, and we'll be right back in just a minute, but here's today's at-home hint. Here's today's at-home hint. If you're going to use frozen fillets, it is best if they are submerged in room temperature water to defrost. If frozen fillets are wrapped in plastic wrap, start defrosting them while they are still in the plastic wrap and remove later.
For updates, pictures, stories, and more, like us on Facebook. To watch hundreds of classic episodes, subscribe to us on YouTube. And to get hundreds of free recipes, visit ctvn.org/athome.
Well, to get our breading program started today, we're going to show you how to do pork chops. And all I've got here is a couple of eggs that I'm beating in a nice flat bowl because you want to be sure that it's large enough to accommodate your pork chops. I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons of water that will help to thin it out a little bit. Don't want to put too much, just a tablespoon or two. We're going to give it a little salt and some pepper. And then my grandmother, she could make veal cutlet or anything with the breading, and it would never come off. And people always say, my breading always comes off my pork chops or whatever. She said, honey, what you do, you take the meat that you're breading, put it in the breadcrumb first, and that makes it have a coating. Now you have something dry for the egg to hold on to when you dip it into the egg. Keep one hand dry and one hand for wet. Back to the breadcrumb, and these are seasoned breadcrumbs. Now, if you have the luxury of time and you don't have to cook this right away, one of the best things you can do is put these on a plate once they've had the second coating of the breadcrumbs, like that, and let them sit for about 15 minutes at room temperature. And boy, I can assure you, nothing's coming off of that. Then you drop them into your oil. And you know, you want the oil to be high because that's why it's important that hot oil is what you put. Now, this is not hot. This should be sizzling. My fault. But when it has to sit like that, it soaks up the oil into those breadcrumbs. You don't want to do that. You want that to be so hot that it crisps them up quickly, and then it doesn't sit, and then the oil is not heavy into the foods that you're making. That's why hot oil is the best way to go. Now, you can make your own breadcrumb, put some fresh parsley in there, put your garlic in there, you know, whatever you want to do, or you can buy that's already seasoned. I've done both. And you know what? For the time it saves you, the seasoned breadcrumb that you buy is pretty good. Pretty good. It's real good, in fact. Okay? Now, we're going to do about 4 chops here. These are center cut chops, and just cover them all over. This works well if you want to bread vegetables, you can do that, but you'd have to deep fry them, okay? Remember, you put it in the dry and then into the egg bath, just like that. Now, when I bread pork chops, I don't like the real thick pork chop. If I'm barbecuing it, putting it on the grill, it doesn't have a breading to it, then I like the thicker chop. But I think it's too thick when you have a real thick chop and then you put a breading on it. It's just too much. And it takes a long time to cook. So what I like to do is get about a 1/3 of an inch thick, or even thin cut pork chops. I like them too because they get crispy. That I like, okay? And I'm gonna drop that right in there. So we have 3, and you don't want to really overcrowd the pan too much. Let me do just one more here. Then we're going to move on to another kind of breading. Breading always, to me, in my mind, makes, if you have a little bit of meat and you want it to stretch to go far, you put a breading on it and it fills the person up as they're eating, so you don't have to, like one chop, one of these big chops would be plenty for a serving, I would think, especially when it's breaded like this, and it's a little on the thick side. Now, if that was just one chop without the breading, you'd think, maybe I need to have 2 chops a person. I think the breading does fill you up somewhat, and it changes the flavor of the pork, which is, a little different because you have the bread with the pork chop. It tastes good. And one time we were getting new windows in our house, and the guys were up there, and I was making Paul pork chops. And so the guy that was the owner of the company, he was going past, after they would put the new window in, he went and did all the caulking and all the beadwork and all the fancy stuff, and he was in the kitchen, and I was in there making these pork chops. This guy kept beating a little bit and turning around, looking at me, beat a little bit, turn. Finally he said, could I ask you, what are you cooking? I said, just some pork chops. He said, oh my goodness. I said, I've never smelled pork chops that taste that good. Well, I think I had 7 little pork chops, and there were 3 guys on the crew. Well, Paul had 1 pork chop, and I had 1 pork chop because the other 5 went to the crew. They were enjoying them. They were oohing and on, and it wasn't anything special. It was just browning them like this, and once they have browned fairly well, then, and they're evenly browned on both sides, and don't keep flipping them over, flipping them over, flipping them over. Not a good idea. Let them brown, flip them over, add a little bit of water, put the lid on, and then just let them cook through. About 25, 35 minutes, depending on how thick they are. This is great. This is a wonderful, you can do these ahead of time, take them on a picnic, or have them for your supper with potatoes or a pasta or something like that. That's a wonderful way to make breaded pork chops. And we'll show you the finished product at the end of the program. Now, we're going to move on. I'm going to show you how to do one way of doing, this is Ruthanne Miller's breaded chicken. Now, this is a little different. Again, we're going to beat up 2 eggs. The only thing you're allowed to beat up in the kitchen. Okay. And this one, she doesn't add any water to it. It's just the eggs. And so first of all, her dry influence in this is going to be flour. And we have smaller portions of boneless, skinless chicken breast. We're going to do the flour. And then we're going to drop it in the egg. And she has plain breadcrumbs here, and we're going to add Parmesan cheese to it. Just like that. And that absolutely changes the flavor of those breadcrumbs, believe me. Just like that. Okay? So we go from the flour to the egg to the breadcrumbs. Cover it over. There's nothing worse than breading, going to the trouble of breading things, and then when you go to serve it, all the breading stays in the bottom of the pan. I hate that. Then we're going to put this in a baking dish because this chicken's going into the oven. Again, from here, I think we better put a little salt in there because I don't think I did. No. Okay, then we're going to put it into the egg wash, back and forth like that. Okay, and then into the breadcrumb. I wish you could smell these pork chops going. They're smelling wonderful. And they even taste better. Okay. I would probably put maybe 1 or 2 pieces per person for this one. You won't want to get too much here. I think that depending on what else you had with your meal as to how much of a portion. You want to make sure it's all covered, because if it's not, the breadcrumbs will not stick to it. So you want to make sure that the egg hits every part. Now you wouldn't have to do boneless, skinless. You could use cut up pieces of chicken for this also. That would work. Now what we're going to do with this, I have some butter over here, and it's here on the stove, and it's melted. And I'm going to add some garlic cloves to that, because that's going to give that chicken flavor. I'm just going to put that in there. And those are finely chopped. And a small can of sliced mushrooms going to go in there, and we're not going to fry them, we're just going to warm them up a little bit. While we're doing that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to show you some more things that you can bread in your kitchen and taste delicious on your table. We'll be right back.
If you love At Home with Arlene Williams, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have hundreds of episodes with all your favorite recipes, holidays, and friends.
Say hi to your fan club. Hi, fan club.
And don't forget to click the bell so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
All right, we've just finished our chicken fillets, and we've got them all breaded. And I told you that we put the garlic and the mushrooms in the butter. Now, here's what you do. You pour this over top of this chicken. Try to get that butter, some over all of it. And this will now go into a 350-degree oven, and it's going to bake for about 20 minutes. Make sure that oven is preheated. It's really important that you do that. I tell you what, the smell on this is incredible. You're going to like it a lot. Okay, preheated oven right there. Want to keep an eye on that so that gets nicely browned. Let's take a little look at our pork chops. I had to turn them over. Look how beautiful that is. Is that awesome or what? Every bit of breading has stayed on, because that dipping into the dry first and then into the egg wash, back in, that's what helps it, okay? I'm going to put the lid on this and let this steam cook it through. And you're going to want to reduce this down just a little bit so it doesn't fry so quickly, okay? In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swap, because next we're going to be doing something here that we're going to need our oil to be up on. This can be down a little lower. There we go. Nice to have all the burners to work with in this kitchen. Here's another one with chicken, because we all like this chicken idea. You take your chicken fillets or your boneless chicken breast, mayonnaise. You could use low-fat mayonnaise. And all you want to do is paint the mayonnaise onto the chicken breast and then drop it in Parmesan cheese. When you do that, paint the back of it then. Okay? And then you just sprinkle like that. This is wonderful. Now, if you had some nuts you wanted to put on top, little pinoli nuts would be great on that. You could do cashews, because they toast, and that adds another dimension of flavor. This is very simple, easy to do. Just, whoop. Well, I'm certainly making a mess. Oh, well. Yeah, there we go. And again, just put your Parmesan cheese. Again, we want to talk about the safety with chicken. You know, when you use chicken products, it's really important that you safely, you have to throw what the chicken has touched, you need to throw that away. That's really important. Okay, mayonnaise, again, and then on the back. And when this bakes, it just gets a crust on it that's so incredible. It's wonderful. And just push it in so that it does adhere to that chicken breast. So we're only going to do 4 of these for you, because we figure you can get the idea on what to do here. Drop it in and paint. Okay. This will go in a 350-degree oven, and just like the last one with the breaded chicken that has the mushrooms and the goodies over the top. Okay, like that. Make sure that oven is preheated. It's really, really important that you preheat the oven. And these can go right alongside. In fact, the one we just put in, so it can do double duty. There they are. Oh, just smell that garlic. Oh boy. Okay, Michael. I know that's one of your favorites. Garlic is his middle name. We never told you that. It's Michael Garlic. Okay, now the next one that I want to do today is, we have codfish here. We're going to do the cod. This is any kind of a fish, a breaded fish fillet. And basically, what I want to do here is just, again, you know, most of the time when you bread, you have to have a dry and a wet, okay? And that's what holds the breading onto whatever you're breading, whether it be pork chops or fish or chicken or whatever. So I'm going to add just a little bit of milk to my eggs, mix them around. We'll do a little salt, some pepper, okay? This is for my fish. Now I have cod here, and what I have here is some oil getting hot, and we want to make sure that it is frying temperature. So I'm going to turn it up, make sure we got it going. Because again, it's important that that oil is good and hot. We have cod fillets, and what we do with those, again, we put them first into the breadcrumb, and then into the egg wash, and then back into the breadcrumb. Now, if I were doing a lot of fish at one time, I used to do this a lot for my dad, because he and I were the only two that liked the fish. I would place this now on a cookie sheet, breaded like this, and put it in the freezer. And once I did that, once they were solid, I would take them out and I would put them in a bag. Then when Dad wanted a quick supper, all you have to do is get it out of the freezer, a piece or two pieces, however much he wanted, pop it into some grease, and he had a good fish fillet. You can make a sandwich, you can make it a dinner, fish on a dish, whatever. Those are such quick and easy, simple ways to do it. And I used to like sole, fillets of sole. And I would even use like the frozen sole that you would get like in a 1 pound pack. I would do that and put that, even though I had thawed it, bread it, put it back in the freezer. People say, well, you lose the flavor. Well, you know what? Didn't seem to bother us. We liked it. We really did. And you know, you make your tartar sauce or buy tartar sauce. It was wonderful. And it was a way that you could have breaded any kind of fish without going through all this every time you wanted it, because you had a piece of it in the freezer. Oh, this is incredible here. Now let's take a look what's going on here. Look how brown that is already. Is that beautiful? Aha. We're going to turn it over. Beautifully brown. Remember, fish doesn't take long to cook, so you want to keep that in mind. Okay, I'll do one more here. This is about a pound of cod. Got some nice fillets here. You could use orange roughy. I have a friend that does the orange roughy like we did the chicken with the mayonnaise. She said, Arlene, that's the best way to do orange roughy. She used pinoli nuts on it. She said, oh, it was incredible. And I could see where it would be. Okay, we're going to add that. Just drop it and get your hands out of the way so you don't get them caught in there and get burned, okay? We're going to continue breading fish and checking on our chicken and watching those pork chops. When we come back, we're going to have a finished product for you to see, and I wish you could enjoy. I hope you will. Stay tuned with us. We'll be right back.
To get all the recipes from today's show, plus hundreds of others, just click the link in the video description or visit our website, ctvn.org/at-home.
Well, on our breading show today, I want you to see everything that we've accomplished. Let's start here. These are the breaded pork chops I talked about. Look how beautiful those pork chops are. I mean, what more could you want? Crispy on the outside, moist and tender on the inside. Next to that is Ruthanne Miller's breaded chicken with a bit of mushrooms and a little bit of a moisture breading to it. Mushrooms and garlic on that. That one is awesome. Here's our Parmesan chicken. Look how nicely brown that gets. You do that with fish. You can do that with chicken, whatever. That's great. You can even put some nuts in that if you want. Next to that, here's our fried fish. Look at that. Oh my. It is so crisp and delicious. You're going to love it. You know what? You don't have to wait till some church or you go to your favorite restaurant for good fish. You can make it yourself right here. All we've added to it is a nice big tossed salad. And then we had a couple, and this is an idea for you. We had a couple of frozen layers of cake that we had baked. and we didn't use them. So we wrapped them, Linda Wilson wrapped them, and we put them in the freezer. Today I said, let's get those layers of cake out. We put some lemon, they were lemon flavored. We put lemon icing around the edge, didn't have quite enough to do the top, put some Cool Whip on top, sprinkled a few pecans. Look how quick and easy that dessert. Tell me that's not a pretty dessert. You know it is. And this is just some ideas. We put some cranberry sauce to go with the chicken, and like I said, this nice big tossed salad. We also, don't forget, put tartar sauce, hot sauce, and then we made, this is our honey mustard with Dijon mustard and honey. This is great on fish. This is great with pork. You know what? There's a variety of things you can do here. Added some lemonade. Somebody said this looks like a buffet for $9.95. Well, I'll tell you what, it could be a buffet. All you have to do is add, we've got the salad. If you wanted to add a starch to it, maybe some rice or something, you've got a great idea for a real big buffet. We hope that you've got some ideas today as you've watched, and we hope that it's kind of triggered something here and say, I'm going to try to make some fish myself. My family likes cod, I'm going to give it a try. You know what? You never know if you can or can't until you try. So try not to miss us the next time, because you know what? It just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then.
Furnishings provided by Levin Furniture, featuring Lane's Country Living Collection. Food provided by Jordan Banana Company, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Trevosburg, Pennsylvania.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.